Wynonna Earp, the TV show? Were they stories you came up with afterwards? What's the origin of this?
The egg came before the chicken, which is to say that Audible came to me and said, what do you think about doing more Earp? And I was like, well, if there's the audience for it, we could try it. They're very smart. They know how passionate the Earpers are. And they were very open-minded. At first they thought they might like to do a season 5, which was, but I sort of wanted to protect that for the visualization for the TV show or for a movie, which I knew was kind of percolating. So with Shelley Scarrow, who helped me out a ton of these, we kind of came to the decision that this would be an opportunity to kind of give the fans things we would never be able to do on the TV show. So to fill in plot holes, or give some backstory, or have a sexy plane, things we could never do. And that's when it became really fun for us. A chance to kind of elevate characters who might never get an A story and just answer all those pesky fan questions you guys wanted to know about what happened after season 4. So the anthology method was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you guys in there pitching anything like more doc backstory? Did you guys have ideas that you contributed?
Oh, you mean us? Well, first of all, I am Tim Rozon. I play Doc Holliday. If I don't look like him right now. The answer is yes. I've been pitching Emily since day one. I think around episode 5 of season 1, we hadn't got any further, was the first time I sent her a story of where I thought the characters were going and what was happening. So I feel like I've just pestered away for so many years that finally she let me in.
That's the secret. I'm like terrified to ever say anything to you. I'm so no, because you're so smart. There's nothing that I could. There's nothing that I could add that's ever going to be better than anything I read when I open those scripts. That's how I feel.
That's so sweet. But you guys do know your characters so well after all this time. Like, you have earned the right to be like, maybe Nicole should not be wearing a clown nose in the scene. Please feel free to pitch, is what I'm saying. Would you guys write some if we got more? Just in front of everyone?
No pressure.
You can conjure up a dick joke.
Okay, let's try it.
Okay. I'm leaving you. Okay, good.
Let's stop with that bit.
But I mean, suffice to say that this offered you possibilities and opportunities, storytelling opportunities that partly filling some things in, but also scope and, just budgetarily, where you're like, okay, we can do a train job, you know what I mean? Like that's a classic Western.
Never the old train job.
Oh my God.
We're just losing any attempt at being classy right off the bat. It feels very on brand. Anyway, moving on. So let's listen to some Wynonna Earp audio. But did you record this? This is from Melanie Scrofano. Did you record this before filming Purgatory? It sounds like. So this was your first. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Vengeance. Tales from Purgatory was before Vengeance. Am I right about that?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm not saying it with confidence.
No, we recorded it after.
Did you really?
Yes.
We recorded it after.
I knew that. It was testing. Well, so in 2 different.
Well, we found out about this.
Yes,
first.
we found out about this first.
So I think we're all right. Let's just say that. Everybody's right.
Simultaneous, yeah.
But you had to put on the Wynonna Earp leather pants and boots, like in 2 different formats. Like that's a lot. Were you
Unprepared?
awesome? Was that the question? Was it challenging? Was it hard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pants didn't fit anymore. You had to get new pants.
Yeah.
It
Pants.
looked amazing.
And
They were better. They were better.
But still, I took them home. So.
Yeah, they were better.
It was really difficult difficult to slip into the audio format for me because I felt exposed as an actor. I didn't go to films or to theater school. Like I didn't feel like I had tools in my toolkit for it. And so, and then the first script that I voice is the one that Tim wrote with I keep wanting to say bongo, which is wrong. It's just so cute to say bongo with Brendan. And so, but you know, when you have the writer in the room,
Right.
also acting with you, it's intimidating, and you're just like, I hope you don't hate what I do with your words. And so, I just think I was overthinking the whole thing, and then within 4 minutes, I was like, this is fun, we should do it again. This is great.
Well, you could show up to record the audio wearing whatever you wanted, presumably, right?
Yeah, but I still wore the hot pants.
That's commitment to
I
character.
agree.
Because I didn't know how else, because I didn't know how else to act. You know, I was like, if I wear this, I'm screwed. It's going to be Wynonna talking like this. I'm doing all panel so far. So I needed to do something that was a little bit.
And that's why they had the bottle of whiskey on the table, just, you know, no, I'm kidding. So we've just heard Melanie as Wynonna. Could we hear some of Tim back in the saddle as Doc Holliday from the new Audible original? All of the characters evolve a lot, and I actually think that Doc Holliday has really gone on a journey. Were there ways for you to explore that in kind of a new way with this series, like the evolution of Doc?
For sure. I think Doc had the best arc, not best, but the biggest arc of all the characters over the seasons, to be honest. It's funny listening to Mel talk because I was thinking, I guess I'm an overthinker too, because I'm literally thinking what you were thinking, but the different way of thinking about the way you were thinking. I was like, I can't remember, I was going to read the shit that I wrote right now, and I was going to say, she's like, this is going to be garbage, and this is horrible. And meanwhile, she's over here thinking about, what the fudge? So, and then for the acting part, I was like, how am I going to do this? And then it only got really easy when you showed up. Because like the first hour, I was like, whoa, running, I don't know, is this good? How's that? Good? And then you showed up, I was like, oh, we can do this. All that I can do. So it's interesting when you said that. So yeah, you should do theater. Yeah, arts are amazing, and yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I just touching on what you said though, having someone read the words that you wrote in front of you is just like it never is. I don't care how long you've been writing, it's like, well, this is terrifying, and I hate it a bunch, so.
Oh, so much, I disagree, so much better than my brain, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing about being a writer, you can simultaneously think, I'm awesome, this is great, and like, oh God, people are gonna see this? Yeah. So that's fun. Anyway, my therapy session's over. Has anyone ever heard of the term way hot? That's a no. Really brief like, no, I'm kidding. So that is a connection that has been incredibly, I'm going to say it changed the world. So let's listen to some Way Hot on audio. I just love that you and Dom get to keep exploring that relationship.
Yeah, me too.
What was exciting to you about taking on this audio drama in terms of exploring and expanding that connection?
I mean, I think there's something so beautiful in what we've had the gift of with Audible and with Vengeance of exploring a couple outside of like the initial butterflies, because I think that's really like where the real love lies, and talking about even with queer representation, like we get to like that, then we really don't get that. Like if we're slim on the representation to begin with, seeing a couple that's so established in their love and like getting married and the what happens after the happily ever after, like all those things, it's been such a gift to get to continue to explore that story. This episode in particular, I love it makes me like cry. I remember sitting in the studio and being like, oh my God. Like, I just could not. But there's something so beautiful about seeing this Waverly and Nicole talk about like what's going to happen to us when we're old and what does that look like for us. And I always think that these characters are still like living in another world. I can't really come to terms with the fact that it doesn't stop and end with us. They exist. So I don't know, if a roundabout way, it's beautiful. And the opportunity we get for like a little bit more, especially in their later years of their love, is very special.
Yeah.
I do want an Earp Golden Girls edition.
Yeah.
And we saw from Vengeance that they survived a home renovation project. That's the ultimate test. They did that, and that was a gut reno. I'm sorry, but that was like pulling out walls and a kitchen renovation. Like, and they're still in love. Like that's real. I'm sorry, but that's the realest real that can be real. So, what are some of the adventures that the characters go on? Can you tease them, Emily Andras? I'm not reading off a piece of paper.
They go on so many adventures. I'm just going to spoil them all. I mean, the thing that is so incredible about these Audible stories is we really got to, again, tell tales we would never be able to, frankly, afford on the TV show. So, for example, there's an amazing episode of Doc Holliday on his first plane ride ever. Greatest gunslinger alive, has a bit of a fear of flying, and of course, things go wrong, there's a demon, someone might have to learn how to fly the plane. Like, we could never afford a plane on the show. We couldn't even afford a pigeon. Like, that was amazing to be able to like send them on a journey in a different environment. Obviously being able to touch on Doc's backstory with Wynonna Earp and Calamity Jane and go back to, we don't have a time machine on the show, so we're spoiler alert to go back to the past and have this adventure on a train was great. There may or may not be a sexy dentist who turns into a Godzilla-like giant. Just stay tuned for that one. And then, we got to service stories that I know the fans were craving, which felt like a gift to the Earpers. Like, for example, what did happen to Nicole when she was left behind and all her loved ones? Oh, they hated it. They don't want the fields. And City, USA. Wishing you guys. But that was sort of something where we maybe wouldn't have had time to service it on the show. It almost was borderline, I'm going to say the F word, fan fiction in the best awful way, but we were able to make it canon. So it was really freeing. At first it was so intimidating, and then when I realized what we could do, it just felt like so fresh and a way to explore these characters in a way we maybe hadn't done before. I don't know if you guys felt like that. Just stories that we couldn't have told, but got to.
I remember Bo Smith, when we wrote with him, we were writing the comic, and he was like, Melanie, the thing about comics is exactly what you're saying, that there's no budget.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. And I was like, I don't know, what do you want? I'm a plot person, okay? But then that's exactly what I felt with this, was like, we had intimate relations on a plane. Yeah. That's fun.
I remember just standing right
but it was a closed
keyboard. Exactly.
Yeah.
And just as an FYI, Melanie, I can fold this up and make you a paper plane for just $200 or $300.
Canadian? Oh, American.
I'll give you a tax break. Is that okay? One of the things I love about this series is that we saw at the end of the season, the previous TV seasons, that they took off on an adventure, and they were going to Dollywood. And I just want to say nothing but respect for my president, Dolly Parton. Was that in your mind? Like, were you like, Dollywood? When did that come up?
I think just on a show with so so many incredible, strong women, you gotta go to, the queen, the empress. Like, I just don't know if there's a celebrity who's as beloved as Dolly Parton. I can't think of one, and she's just such a force, and I assume she's a massive Earper, so it will fit.
That's not canon also.
Yeah, she can come and play any character she wants on the show. She could be the plane, the actual plane character, by the way. But Dollywood just felt like so in line with Wynonna and Doc, don't you think?
It's on my bucket list,
Yeah.
and it has been for a long time. I mean,
Dollywood Earper convention?
I've just always loved Dolly Parton.
If Dolly Parton was in or on a Wynonna Earp property, like some storytelling of Wynonna Earp world, it would heal me. It would fix me. So no pressure, but you could make that happen. One of the things I loved about this audio drama is that how cinematic it felt, and that you were just writing how you normally would for TV. Like it really felt, without being overly expositional, like you were there, you could see it, And was that something that, in various drafts, like was that a skill set? I mean, obviously you can do cinematic things, we know this, but like, what was that like to do it where people are hearing it and then imagining the rest?
I mean, it was really intimidating from a writing standpoint, because television is show, don't tell, and this was tell, don't show, right? We didn't have the crutch of these guys' pretty okay faces, for example. I was very intimidated about writing the action in a way that wasn't too exposition-y, but I really have to give credit to the sound design team and our that is what elevated it, I think, to make it feel so cinematic. Just the care they take. Our director, Casey Whalen, was incredible. Like, just the care he took. Motorbike sound and...
Did you know that for the bathroom scene in the airplane, he's like, I don't have anything for that. So he's like, when I'm flying home to LA, I'm gonna go in the bathroom. But do I forget what it was, like some kind of the sound of the door closing,
sliding
so
over,
specific like that.
Yeah.
He did that on the plane. He's like, I don't have it right.
Yeah, he did the same with the motorbike, because he was so concerned about how the dialogue was going to sound in the helmets when Doc and Wynonna are talking to one another, so he would send me like 10 different versions, but just that kind of meticulous care, I have nothing but the greatest respect for. I know what I'm good at, but I really think they deserve credit for that, for making it feel so cinematic in your ear holes.
One of the flight attendants saw him, and then Homeland Security picked him up for the device. Not kidding. That didn't happen, but no, it's
My plane
very.
caught fire. The next day after.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're really?
Yeah, my real plane. Yeah.
Did you record it?
Always be Earping.
Yes, remember?
Yeah. Wait, I have questions.
Like the next day I had to fly back, and then we're on the plane and we get on the tarmac, and they're like, no, y'all gotta get off the plane, there's smoke coming out of the plane, and then we went down the thing, and it was awesome. And then there was an accident on the track, and the train had to go all the way back and turn around. Yeah, it was a fun day.
There's a sequel, then I want to see. I want to hear that.
Yes, seriously.
Well, speaking of audio, there's an audio clip of Nicole encountering one of the audio creations. Nicole encountering an interesting demon and/or monster. Did you get those audio cues? Like, what were you hearing when you did that? Was this all added later? How did that
It
work?
was all added later. So what was really great, that episode was so fun. It was so kooky, and we got to be in the room together.
Oh, cool.
With Robin Dunn and the actress who plays his sister, Fifi and Maroon and I, and we got to all be together. But it was really Casey, our director, who helped a lot. Because you're like, I don't know, like how big are they?
Yeah.
And then they did some altering of their voices in post. So what do they sound like? What's the wind doing? Does it affect the elements? Can you feel the shake on the ground? Like you have all these questions that you don't realize how much gets filled in on set. Because a prop person goes, this is what the water bottle looks like. So what I might interpret that to be is so different from what you might interpret, right? So Casey really helped just like steer the ship. It was really fun, and like it was so theatrical, and we could be so big, and watching those guys do the giants and just it was like so exciting as an actor to just get to watch them perform and play, and it was like a joyful episode.
You were in the room, so that's one of my big questions is, was it always the case the people in that episode with you were with you, or did you do a lot alone? If everybody could talk about that part of it, like when were you with your fellow actors and when not?
Well, I have to give a big thank you to this one right here and all of Audible because they were amazing for me. I was working on something else and the schedule was conflicted and everybody made stuff work, and you came in on Saturday and we did it all together. I think originally I was supposed to be with everybody, even Johnny Ringo, which would have been fun, and it just didn't work out. And thank goodness you were there, because I don't know what I would have done by myself in the room. But Casey's amazing. I'm sure something would have happened. But yeah, Audible was absolutely amazing for me, and kind of worked the schedule and everything got to work. So.
But I think to that point, it's like it was so key to have other actors in the room because it helped us, first of all, actors that we knew from Wynonna. So I only worked with him in this case, schedule stuff. And hopefully if we do it again, it'll be all of us in a room, that'd be fun. But then, so we had the voices that would ground us. For me, it was Doc. And then we had other actors in the booth that many we either didn't know, or they were new characters, or they would voice characters that we did know, but they would just come to fill them in for us. Mm-hmm. And they were excellent. All those actors were such great actors, and so their energy and how good they, like what they brought to the characters then gave you the energy and the life. So for those of us who had never done this before, it was indispensable to be in the room with other actors and see them and laugh at whatever they do or be touched by whatever they do versus just being in the void of like, acting vacuum.
Well, that's one of the things that was so interesting to me is I feel like it does carry over the chemistry and the relationships and the vibes between the characters, and that, talk a little bit more about how, do you think a big part of that was the director knowing, kind of giving you signposts, so to speak, and having the other actors in the room clearly was very important, but what was that like in terms of process, and did it change over time? Like by the end, you're like, no, I know what the director's going to want. Was it really an intense relationship with the director, especially at first, just to kind of know where to pitch your performance?
I think Casey did like an amazing, I was so impressed with how much work he did to get on board. Like there's a lot of Earp to digest.
But you can jump in if you've never seen it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
The demon hunting cowgirl and this posse of dipshits. Get into it.
I was so impressed with how intimately he knew the show. Like it really showed he really put in the work to really know what was going on.
And I think when I was listening, like the trust he had in you guys, do you know what I mean? Like I think he seemed like he didn't have too heavy a hand. He gave you guys room to play, I hope. He was really too, it's the Casey Love Fest, but I was so happy that he insisted on flying everyone in. And he said, the audience will know the difference if they aren't looking into each other's eyes doing these roles. Like it just takes it to a next level if their scene partners are with one another. And I think you can really hear that. I think the emotion in these stories, I hope you guys love them, you can really feel it because you were together for so much time. And you're also very good actors.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, clap, please clap. I mean, I've heard actors talk about, like, you go into a booth by yourself and you hear a voice in your ear telling you, do this now. And, like, that must be so, like, dislocating and hard. I don't know how people do that. I'm glad that they did it this way, because I definitely, could you guys feel it? Like, the chemistry was there because they were together. So I would like to talk more about, the ambition of it. Like were there any ideas you were like, no, we can't do that, or that's the next season on Audible Original? So what was the scope like? Did Casey help you think that through? Like, yeah, we can do that. Where did he join the dream casting part of it?
I mean, once it became anthology, it was very freeing, again, knowing that they were sort of standalone. There was nothing we pitched that anyone said no to, which was great. And we were very lucky, along with Tim, to have kind of a stable of Wynonna Earp writers who got to come back on board, and they deserve a shout out. They did an amazing job. James. I think just being so well versed in Earp for Casey helped, knowing that it was both a show that did a lot of like R-rated jokes and a lot of broad comedy, but also a lot of feels, often in the same episode. I felt, once I got over my fear of not having the visuals, it was extremely freeing, I think. And I feel like we could do some really fun ones next time.
Was there any time any of you had to say, that's not an Earp thing, we can't, or like maybe Casey didn't fully get a certain piece of backstory or someone involved? Like, did you kind of had to do some Earpication? Is that a thing?
I felt like I got Earpicated by Casey because I was so overthinkasitis. And I was just really just not. I was just in my head a little bit, and he was like, I think Wynonna would like make it. Let's try a joke here. Let's try to make it like he knew what. I hesitate to say he knew her better than I did. Sometimes I felt like he did because he was so prepared. He had absorbed all things Earp, and so when he did give a note, it felt like I should listen to this. There was never a note that I was like, sir, nah.
Who's wearing the leather pants?
Yeah.
You should have pulled Starfleet rank. Space Wynonna, it's a thing.
It's definitely a fanfic.
So what are some really fun moments, Emily, for you to write or for you as the cast to do that you were like, this is so fun, like something you're really excited for people to hear?
Like I said, I think just taking these characters into new environments that we would never be able to do, like
The dentist.
the dentist is great, sexy dentist, sexy. It was fun to make Danny Kind have to do sexy sex noises.
I'm sure she resisted it.
No, she's like down for literally anything. And like I said, just again, maybe doing stories I don't feel like we have room for all the time on the TV show, which is such a fast pace. Just really, what surprised me was how much character work we got to do. I loved that. Just casting the other characters was really interesting too, just making sure they fit into the Earp universe, in the same way Doc Holliday is such an iconic character. What was our Calamity Jane going to sound like? How was she going to make her mark? And I was so impressed with the other voice actors.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So did you, when you cast them, were you looking at how much, were you just looking at how well they did the character, or did you take into consideration previous voice work? Is this something they had done before?
The only thing they couldn't have been on the show before, which was fun, but really no. And it's funny, the auditions were still videotaped, but I kind of forced myself to just listen to them. Do you know what I mean? I really just wanted to kind of think of it from an auditory standpoint. Just tone, just quirkiness, seriousness. The comedians had to be good about landing a joke, and Nedley's wife, spoiler alert, was really important. Just like you had to believe this was someone that Nedley had loved and had lived, and but I thought the quality of the voice acting was incredible. And I thought you guys nailed it, amazing.
They were so helpful. They were such, that's what I was wondering, because they were so helpful in helping us keep the energy of the, or what's it, Earpication? No, that's the wrong word. That's the Earpers.
Yeah.
Fave moments though? Like, what were some fun moments for you where you were like, this is so, I can't wait for fans to hear this scene,
that people were going to be pretty excited for a Rachel Valdez story, I think. We're also lucky enough in Year of Earp to have a movie this year on Tubi. That was really a different kind of beast insofar as like the goal was a little bit to maybe give something to the fans but also attract new viewers, and 90 minutes is just such a different animal than 12 one-hour episodes, right? Just the pace of it is so different. So that was the gift of Audible that happened later, was I realized we could service beloved fan favorite characters in the Audible stories that we maybe couldn't touch on in the movie. So again, giving Mercedes Gardner and Jeremy, you know, his own storyline and finding out what happened to Rachel. I knew that finding out how Nicole had handled being alone when Waverly was in the garden was going to be a fan favorite. And again, not flying a plane. It was amazing.
Was that fun to record, Tim? The flying the plane thing?
Yes, it was.
I guess we're giving away the spoiler tiny bit.
No, I mean, like, I just love the note of like bigger, because that's something you never really get on TV. Just it's so simple, but it's like you just never. You normally like can bring it down, which is great because it's nicer to have things grounded for TV and stuff. But this one on Earp, shit's crazy. And like in an audio booth, it was be even crazier with the shit. It's like we're just throwing crazy shit everywhere. So I apologize for the poo, throwing poo everywhere. And bigger.
Well, and I also think that I followed all of the filming of Vengeance, and I'm like, it was at least warmer to make you were not outside in the Calgary winter. So there's that. Woo!
I do have one thing.
Yes.
I was really excited and for everyone to hear. I was just so proud of you for, this is like, you were writing the comic book and now you're going into this, and I was just like, you're so fearless and good for you. And I was so... Earp has brought us so many opportunities, and when people kill it, you can't help but be really proud. And you've been so supportive of me, so.
Oh my God, thank you so much. So much fear in that fearlessness, let me tell you. That was one of those calls when you called me, I was like, oh my God, I'm so honored, thank you so much. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, big kudos to Bongo, man. Love you, Brendan. Man, you guys are awesome.
Well, this show is blessed with a cast. I've just been thinking about this as you guys have been talking, is that every single one of you has this ability to have multiple different micro expressions. Like, you know, someone will be like, oh, interested, oh, hungry, oh, oh, yes, wait, okay. Like, was that, did you have to rethink how you approach the performance? Because so much of what you're doing is your face, your body stance, your walk, the physicality with other actors, you know, like in a scene. Did you have to really go back to basics? What was that like to rethink it? You know, because you were talking about you got to go bigger, but what else did you have to draw upon?
I find it like the way hot stuff, Dom and I are so used to physically, like the physicality and how that affects what we're saying. So I think it was weird to see Dom on the other side of the room, but have these intimate moments and be kissing my own hand. You know, like so much of that does help, especially for Way Hot. So I was worried that maybe it would come across as intimate or as genuine or as, you know, so much of that is so important for Way Hot. So I found that to be quite a challenge.
Yeah.
I brought up a lot how there were a few times where he's like, or even just in doing some of these promos, they're like, okay, great, now try it again, but like more threatening or whatever. I forget what the word was. And I was like, but I don't have my gun. Nobody's threatened by this. Giant gun attached to this hand. It does all the work. And so I don't think I got what they wanted, but whatever.
I see the director sending someone out to like the store for like a little toy prop.
Well, and you know, he did have props to, like, he was great. No, this is all just, you know, the internal work, kind of what you're saying, of like, when you're this far away from somebody, how do you bring that feeling of closeness, or how do you bring the feeling of like, I've got a gun in your face, don't mess with me? And I haven't found the answer.
That's so much of the magic of Wynonna Earp is that there are multiple layers in every, like emotionally there can be deep things, and then someone makes a fart joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's Emily's writing. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's what I think is so fun about this series, is that it captures the emotional bonds and the core of these relationships is, I think, what keeps me coming back. I don't want to speak for Earpdom, although I am the Duchess of Earp. Baroness, one of those. That's what I think was one of the really fun things, is that it was the diversion, the fun, the adventure, but it kept that emotional content, and also there was a giant dentist who did some crazy things. Who else will we hear from in these cool adventures that maybe we haven't talked about yet? Like, what other characters will we get to visit if you haven't heard it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I did list a couple of them. There's Wyatt Earp, who's obviously Wynonna's, iconic ancestor, and his shadow looms over her own heroism and legacy and curse, good and bad. Calamity Jane is a wonderful character. There's some cameos from some villains, some old school villains. We have Mercedes Gardner, who's kind of a fan favorite.
I just have to say my favorite word that you ever invented is apocalyptunity.
See, I feel spoiled when you talk about these guys, because I think the range of this cast is so incredible that it makes me a lazy writer, because I will write a scene for Mel and Co. where it's funny, it is horny, it's funny, horny, sad, confused, angry, and that's really challenging as a performer, but I feel like they're all so talented that they can turn on a dime 10 times in a scene, so sorry about that. But yeah, the richness of the emotion these guys bring is incredible on screen, but I really hear it when I listen to these stories as well. You realize like just how good they are at their craft. So, other characters, I'm sorry, I got off track. Your favorites, giant dentist, a train, a plane, trip to Spain, just kidding. A little bit of a Sheriff Nedley's backstory. I mean, Sheriff Nedley Beloved Greg, a real MVP year, I would say, like, just so good in the movie and so good in Audible. Just a bit of a secret weapon there. Rachel Valdez, what else am I forgetting? Yeah, we have 2 new lovebirds, maybe some adorable new Purgatorians who gotta just get out of their own way and realize the supernatural can bring them together if they just let it happen.
That's love. The only time I've ever had my photo taken with someone at a fan convention was Greg Lawson.
Oh,
yeah. He loved me so madly. Seen by him. He's very cranky, but has a good heart. And also, kind of a badass, really, ultimately. Oh, did the Vegas stop at Mama? Are there callbacks and Easter eggs and like really fun little bits of, Earp knowledge for the fans in these scripts?
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely like callbacks to some of our favorite moments and favorite characters and inside jokes. It still felt very Wynonna, I think.
Potato.
No potato this time, but maybe if we get more. Maybe one from the potato's perspective.
I asked the Audible PR team, I was like, can I bring up the potato? And they were like, should she moderate? That was a discussion behind the scenes, but I just remember a previous panel we did, I think at ATX, debuted that trailer with the potato licking, and I've never seen a room of people lose their mind.
It was so funny too in trailers like that. You just think you know what people are gonna latch onto, but the potato people are like, who is licking the potato. A lot of people thought it was you. Mel licking the potato.
I do look like him.
You seem like a good character.
I and Wynonna both have licked potatoes.
And the reason, among many, she's an amazing actor is because we know your Star Trek character would not lick a potato. Potatoes are for French fries. She's not putting up with any
She
of
doesn't even
that.
eat carbs.
I don't understand that. Many things I love about the Wynonna Earp characters. They love them some carbs.
Since I'm wrong, she always eats spaghetti shit.
In all seriousness though, I can talk. I have words. Wynonna, to say it in the dog voice, has changed a lot. Was this yet more evolution for her? Do you think she's changed radically or more, like, you talk about the character's journey, you know it best.
For me, the most interesting part was that we always get to hear Wynonna's story, as we should. But for the first time, she listens to someone else's story, which I thought was really interesting. Like, I really enjoyed listening to Doc tell his story, and yes, she gets interrupted, but she's genuinely interested, and for once, it's not about her. And I thought that was really fun, first of all, as an actor, to listen to another person's story, but also just to see how Wynonna enjoys it. Like, she's not a complete narcissist.
Let's go with no, she's not. Well, we also learned the story of the hat.
Sure.
The hat. Did you wear the hat during recording, Tim?
No, I wish I would have. I had it, but I was, like I said, everything happened.
What was the stash situation at that
No
time?
stash, guys. No stash. Oh my God. I had facial hair, but it wasn't a stash. There was more of it. Everything.
Was it hard to do the accent? Stash?
No, like I said, it was hard in the beginning, and then Mel showed up, and then it was like, oh yeah, I can do this. 100%, yeah.
So is it still the case that you're, like this is another way to introduce, Wynonna Earp to the world? Do you still get people who are like, wait, it's supernatural and it's a Western? Like, what is the...
Yes, and definitely some people at the back now are like, potato? Anyone's here from Big Spud, they're like, okay, I'll check it out. We'll get you one way or another. Western, potato, beautiful queers, whatever. Yeah, I mean, the joke about Wynonna, I think, has always been, it's been a pretty hard elevator pitch, to be honest. Like, it's very hard to boil down. We really just want to take you on a journey where you feel all the feelings. You should feel exhausted at the end of it, but satisfied, or you can yell at me on social media. That's fine too. I just think that's all we aspire to do as creators. I think is make you feel suspense and emotion and sadness and barfing and laughing until you pee. And I just think that's the greatest gift. And if we get to do that with Wynonna, we've done our job. So
Could be more potatoes.
Yeah.
That's my note.
budget mode.
I told you I'd make, okay, $100 for the people.
Okay.
100, that's flat. This is something were we texting or were we on, so I don't know what time is or what I'm doing half the time anymore. But I think I was pointing out to you that for you, I don't know for the actors on stage, it's been a decade of Earping. I mean, obviously the Bo Smith comic has been around since the 90s, but you began developing this 2015. Is that more or less the ballpark?
I was 12 years old. The Mozart of supernatural potato westerns. Yeah, I mean,
You said an 8th grader couldn't, write a hit sci-fi series, and then you proved him wrong. So
and I still knew Tim Rozon back then. Or babies, right, baby? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you know this. Development takes a long time. It takes a long time to create something and sell it and convince people to make it. But Earp is both the most cursed and blessed thing we've got. Like, we have so many challenges on the way.
Yeah, I'm thinking about stories that I've written about the show. Fourth season, yes? No?
Yeah, fifth season, what? No, yeah.
It was like being in a haunted Wynonna maze. You know, it was like very difficult to figure out what was happening.
But it's easier to just give these fans what they want, which is what.
These folks are not going to go away. Just come to try.
Very persistent, smart, and good looking.
Also for the actors, all of you do other things as well, but for the cast, it has been nearly 10 years now, or it's been a long time. What are some of the most surprising things that for you, when you look back, are like, I never expected? Well, basically everything. Let's just take that as good. What are some incredibly unexpected moments that for you stand out, or just wild developments?
I think that these are some of the most important people in my life. Like I've shared huge life milestones with these guys, and the things we've gotten to experience together, like never would have expected to have these relationships and this like deep of a connection with people through work, especially in an industry that can feel sometimes a little bit vapid, but also sometimes like there's just it's so transient. So the opportunity to get to go on like a decade-long journey so intimately with a group of people and have them like watch huge life moments in each other's lives is a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I just feel like the journey kind of really came full circle in many ways with the Audible for me, oddly enough. In the sense of like, I really feel like I'm one of you guys. I have since day one. Like I could be on the other side of this watching. And I got to somehow sneak into the other side for a minute. That's why I put the hat. That's why we wanted to get into the lore and bring like Clutie stuff, because I know, okay, yeah, we like the way hot stuff too, but there's lore, there's stuff about it that I wanted to tell, and it was like I felt really lucky to get to tell parts of the stories that I felt Earpers would want to know. It's like an Earper wrote an episode. It wasn't me, it was you guys. It was like all little fun stuff. And yeah, the other stuff. Like you guys are awesome. Family.
Melanie, do you want to share with the class?
Yeah, I think yes. It's funny, you work on a lot of things, and if you're lucky, and if you're lucky, you get something that really touches you in a way that nothing else does, and like it's just rare, and so I feel like that is a huge one, like you said, and yeah, it's just so transient, and people just like, oh my god, okay, call me, oh my god, we're such good friends, and then you're like, what? I'm like, that's not right, what happened? And so this family is really important to me, but then also just the opportunities that it's brought each of us, I think is was unforeseeable. I just thought I was getting a job. And then I got a family, I got my kids, I got my career, like
Directing.
yeah, writing, and Bo is part of our film. Like it was just this network, and then we get to travel the world and see people who appreciate what we do, and that's not a normal thing. So yeah, I just think the whole universe of it is just.
Just know that I will disown this remark, but I remember being at a San Diego Comic-Con after a panel at the sci-fi party with you. I had only one cocktail privately. Molly, you should direct an episode. You should direct. Like, okay. But no, you were like, oh, like, I'm not going to take credit for that, but just did. What are we doing here? I mean, that was how long ago that, like, it seems to me that everyone on this stage got to really creatively, in a meaningful way, find new parts of their craft or new crafts, new skill sets. Is that true? Am I making that up? Even you, Emily, who are already perfect, but
Yeah, perfect will never act. So with me. Yeah, I hope because everyone's earned it. Like, I hope Earp feels safe for you guys to try things on Earp. You know what I mean? That isn't just doing the amazing stuff you do. I feel like we all really have each other's back, and I'm glad you got to write and direct and what have you. And
you're awesome. I want to say one more final thing. I mean, because I've covered the television industry for a really long time. I wrote a book. Anyway. And a big thing I've done over time is for 25 years, write about representation, write about stats, like trends. And, I know it's been part of the coverage of the show for a really long time, but, Way Hot, not just Way Hot, I think the show's embrace of this town is full of people who are authentically who they are. And I just want to thank you for that. And I thank all of you, because I think to me it's a group effort. It's not just the show anymore, it's the fandom, it's the relationship with the fans, and them getting to experience it all again through Audible. Could there be more Audible stuff?
sure, yes, please. Who have to write one. Two people who should write one. Yeah, I would love to do more. It was just so fun, and Audible was wonderful, and I'm very pleased with the response I've seen so far, that people really feel like it was more of what they love in a different medium. So yeah, more Earp forever.
I myself have called Jeff Bezos directly in a normal way.
Ask him to cover a Prime.
Free shipping for life, everyone in this room. No, I'm kidding. So, what I would love to know is after this is if anyone was had never heard of Wynonna Earp before coming into this room. But I do think I want to close by saying it is newbie friendly. Right, and you think it's gonna? Have you heard about more fans coming on board with Purgatory and/or with this?
I think so, yeah. I mean, and I also think word of mouth speaks volumes. You have all bullied so many people. It's like no chill, as is your manner. I mean, listen, it just is a rootin' tootin' good time. And onto Earp, whether it's beautiful, crazy Wynonna Earp herself, or Doc Holliday if you love westerns, or you want more queer representation, or you hate/love potatoes again. All you need to know is it's about this unlikely demon hunter with this legacy and her posse of dipshits who somehow make a family and go on a journey.
From Purgatory is currently available on Audible. If you haven't listened, it's gonna be awesome and it's gonna rock your world. Thank you so much.